Let's talk fairy tales. These classic stories of quests, love, and adventure. Whether we find them annoying or amusing, we've all come across one at some point of time. First, just a quick show of hands. Is there anyone here who's never heard of the tale of Cinderella? Great. Since we all seem to be in the know, there are just three things I'd like to talk to you about quickly today based on this beloved tale of hardships, hope, and happiness. First off, the fabled glass slippers. The one that everybody thought was the perfect fit and was trying so desperately to get into. Did you know, and it was a sure shot chance of making you the most accepted person across all the land. Did you know in one of the earliest versions of this tale, written by the Grimm brothers, the stepsisters actually cut off parts of their feet to try and get into these so-called pair of glass slippers? They knew it wouldn't fit them, but still they tried their level best, inflicting pain and torment upon themselves just to get into these perfect pair of shoes. In life, at some point of time, we've all tried to conform to what the world thinks is the perfect fit. What society, or most people think we should think, who we should be, and how we should behave. But we've had the opportunity to break free at some point. But what if we couldn't? What was if the only option we had was to cut off a part of our true, authentic self just to feel accepted? Did you know 83% of the world's global LGBTQ plus population never reveals their sexual orientation to all or most of the people in their life? Can you imagine never telling someone about something so important, such an integral part of who you are, for most or your entire life? Since I'm in a college, and I'm sure some of the audience is made up of students, here are some statistics about what an LGBTQ plus individual goes through at the workplace post-graduation. 41% who are open about their sexual orientation or gender identity before they started their first job went right back into the closet after they started work. 72% have hidden their sexual orientation or gender identity at least once at work. 45% have faced negative comments surrounding the LGBTQ plus community, which has made them uncomfortable about being open. Now, I know what you're wondering. Why would anybody try to pretend to be something they're not? Or in other words, why would someone go through the daily torture of walking in shoes that are slowly killing their souls? That brings me to my second point. Are you a pumpkin or a carriage? Now, Cinderella, thanks to her animal pals, had managed to get to the ball, complete with a pumpkin turned into a carriage with footmen and a driver. But the entire time they were there, they were afraid of when the spell would wear off. If anybody found out who their true, authentic selves were, they would immediately be rejected and thrown outside the ball. The clock strikes 12, and poof, the dream turns into a nightmare. Some point of time, most of us have faced discrimination for no fault of our own. Yes, it's humiliating, it's exhausting, it's emotionally, physically, and psychologically damaging. So can you imagine if someone has to go through living their lives every day in the fear of retribution just for being their true, authentic selves? Did you know that still more than a quarter of the world's population believes that being LGBTQ plus should be a crime? 70 countries have criminalized same-sex relationships, and the death penalty or evidence of it has been found in 11 of these countries. Across more than half the world, if you are an LGBTQ plus person, you may not be protected against discrimination in the workplace. And most countries deny trans people the legal right to change their name or sexual orientation from what was assigned to them at birth. Now, I know when it comes to India, we have taken strides in this direction with the decriminalization of same-sex relationships between consenting adults in Article 377, and also by introducing laws to safeguard and protect the LGBTQ plus community. But while it may not be illegal, the mindset of many people still remains unchanged. Most people still think any or all queer relationships are immoral or a sin. Now that brings me to my third and most important point. Friends in all the mice places. Now, it wasn't the ball, magic, or Prince Charming that helped Cinderella find her happiness. It was those who helped her along the way. If you have watched the Disney version of this, you would know her mice friends really helped her out in any way they could, from helping her escape a locked room to sewing on a ball gown or becoming footmen. They really came through for her. Heck, fairy godmother did not have to bippity boppity boop anything for her at all. Cinderella wasn't one of them. She was different from them. Her problem didn't affect them at all. Yes, it was unfair and unjust, but why should they care? That's just it. When you do the right thing and help someone, you're not just affecting change, but you're also helping so many more others to come. Cinderella had not made friends. She had made allies. So that brings me to the point, who are LGBTQ plus allies, and why are they so crucial? An ally is someone who understands and increases their knowledge and awareness of the social issues and informations and problems surrounding the LGBTQ plus community. They stand up for them, speak out for them, and advocate for them. My own personal journey of being an ally started with something a little bittersweet, actually. It was when I was in university. Seems like it was eons ago. I had a crush on this guy. Very cliched story. He was tall, athletic, played basketball, was very hot. No, I mean sweet. He was very sweet and generous and kind, and I was crushing like mad. So towards the end of my course, during one of our farewell dinners, I thought I had worked up enough courage to go and tell him how I felt. But before I could approach him, a couple of my classmates and friends came up to me, and they said, off to profess your undying love? And I was like, oh my God, seems like everybody except him knows about the crush. And before I could answer, they said, just one thing before you go. Do you know your Prince Charming? He's gay. I was stunned, and I half expected them to console me. But what followed next was truly horrendous. They spent the next 20 minutes using every derogatory or homophobic term known to mankind on him and making him the punchline of every homophobic joke. I was shocked. Some of these people were his so-called friends. So the next day, I just marched right up to this guy and told him what happened. Of course, I left the crush part out. You know what he did? He just looked at me. He goes, oh, really? And starts to walk away. I was incensed. What does this guy mean, oh, really? I stormed right after him. I stopped him and said, is that all you're going to say? And then he looked at me directly with eyes filled with bitterness and resignation. And he looked at me and he said, well, what can we do about it? That's when it hit me full force. What had I done about it? There, I just stood there and listened to these people take pot shots of the man I dedicated every known NSYNC song to. And that's how old I am, yes. And I had done nothing. I just stood there, listened, and walked away. That night, I couldn't sleep. See, I know what it means to be judged and discriminated against, right? You're too dark, you're too fat. What's with that weird accent? I've heard it all before. But I still couldn't wrap my head around why would someone hold your authentic self, your true identity, who you love, or whom you're sexually attracted to against you. And that's when I decided to be the change I wish to see and started my journey of allyship. Now I know what you're going to say. See, an ally is so critical because, as you know, an LGBTQ plus person does not make a majority of the population across the world or in a workplace. You are standing up for creating an environment of acceptance, self-respect. It's safe and it's welcoming. You're not only busting myths and building and breaking stereotypes, you're also highlighting the importance of equality, acceptance, mutual respect, and fairness. Now. I know everybody is going to say, I don't discriminate. This isn't for me. I'm not part of the problem. But yes, you're not part of the solution either. Not too long ago, we didn't have our freedom. Women couldn't vote. Slavery was acceptable, and child marriage was legal. If every single person here had said, this doesn't affect me directly, and had refused to be part of the change, we wouldn't be here, would we? See, everybody doesn't have to be the same kind of ally. If you could stop your friend from saying, or someone you know from saying a homophobic joke, or using someone's sexual orientation as a derogatory term or insult, you're already positively affecting change. If you could try to consciously stop assigning stereotypical gender roles to every single person you meet and truly embrace them for who they are, your journey has long begun. And you know what is the easiest, quickest, and most efficient step to take forward? Is to educate yourself, raise your awareness and knowledge. We're only afraid of what we do not know, and we fear change because we lack knowledge. L stands for lesbian, G for gay, B for bisexual, T for transgender, Q for queer or questioning. And if any one of you goes back home today and Googles what that plus stands for and delves a little deeper into understanding expanding what their knowledge is, my job here is done. Now, I would like to end by saying something a mild tad controversial. You don't have to be Cinderella to find your happiness in this tale. Maybe the sparkly crown prince charming are not your version of bliss. But just as you understand that, please also understand that everybody is entitled to their own version of happiness, right? We are all different yet alike. We may not be the same, but we are all similar. And yes, we're all human. So that's what I would like to leave you with. And before I go, I know everybody has been wondering what this is. When I first decided to wear this dress, everybody, right from stylists to magazines, told me that sparkly high heels are what goes best with this dress. But you know what? They're killing me. And so I'm going to wear these flats, and I'm going to be truly free. Right? So I'm Carol, and you've been listening to Cinderella glass slippers, and if the shoe doesn't fit, don't wear it. Thank you so much. You've been a great audience.